Hello and welcome. I'm here at Brewery X today to test out arguably two of the best tool watches of all time, the Rolex Explorer 2 and the Rolex Submariner. Now, to me, a tool watch needs to be extremely tough in all climate conditions, and that's what I'm going to test here today. I'm actually going to be locked in their cold box for over an hour and a half with these watches on to see how they handle the extreme cold temperature, as well as right after that, we're gonna go outside in the hot sun today and see how these tool watches, these mechanical tool watches, handle an extreme change in temperature. Let's put these tool watches to the test.
Now you might have already figured out this idea came about while having a few beers, but this is actually very important information for me to know. For those who are new to this channel, I make my living as a fine art nature photographer and explorer, and I truly depend on my tool watches while I'm out in the field. Whether it be timing my hikes or timing my camera exposures, tool watches are an intricate tool in my photography process. If these timepieces can survive this and maintain accuracy, then they can survive anything.
Now, I apologize for the audio. Remember, this is a working brewery and we're here on a day where they obviously are working. But this is the best opportunity I can find to really put these watches to a full extreme test that you can't find in nature. We're literally gonna take maybe, it's gonna be 100 degrees, more than that actually, temperature shift from the cold temperatures of their cold box out to the hot sun. And with the mechanical watch, there's hundreds of different movements or parts moving in that watch. We'll have to see how the cold to the hot handles that. So they're not actually gonna lock me in there. I'm just gonna hang out there for an hour and a half to test these watches. It's safe enough. They even put a sign on the door, and the brewers are going in and out of this cold box all day, so it's going to be completely safe.
To test the precise accuracy of these Rolexes, I'm first going to start by setting them to our Navy clock. Now we're in Pacific time here, so we're going to set them exactly to this and monitor their accuracy throughout this test. And to set a baseline, kind of a benchmark for, let's quote unquote, a normal watch, I'm bringing in my Victorinox Airboss for this test as well. Also too, we're going to bring in a quartz watch, battery powered, G-Shock, my 5600. Now just a quick caveat, the Airboss here is the oldest, most beat up watch, but it is keeping good time. It was just serviced a couple months ago now, and it's running about 10 seconds slow a day on average use, whereas the Rolexes are running about a half second to a second fast a day. So that'll be kind of our baseline, whereas obviously the G-Shock is dead on time because it's remotely hooked up to keep its accuracy. Now the plan is for me to spend an hour and a half in the cold box with the watches on. This is for the motion of the mechanical watches. They're being charged by the motion on my wrist. And I just want to see if that affects them in the cold in any way, as I'll be wearing them for the first hour and a half. And then after that, we'll check in their accuracy. Then I'll set them down for a half hour with just no movement sitting in the fridge. We will then, after measuring how accurate they've been, go outside and leave them out in the sun for 2 hours before we do the final check on their accuracy.
Does anyone have something like a ball and a baseball glove or something? Sorry for the noise. This is pretty much a big, huge refrigerator, and that's just the fans running. So we'll probably do a lot of voiceover for this video, but we're just putting these watches to the test and let's see what happens. I ask a lot with my watches, and I find myself in these very cold conditions a lot of the time. And the big thing with me is, since it's so cold and I'm using my watches for my exposures, I put my watches actually on the outside of my jacket. So I have to keep, lifting up the jacket, doing all that stuff every time I do my exposure. So that's a true test for these mechanical watches, as well as the other watch and the G-Shock, which is a battery powered watch. Now we'll have to see, my phone already died in here. So we'll just see how much longer, because they keep this just above freezing in here. So let's see, my phone died after about 20 minutes being out in this, battery powered. I'm gonna spend, an hour and a half in here and just we'll see what comes of it. This is going to be an interesting test. What really gets you is your feet. I mean, long underwear is good. I'm nice and toasty. Not toast is definitely the wrong word. I'm cold, but God, my feet are freezing. One of the toughest things about this is the lavaliers, these microphones here, as well as the camera. Their batteries are dying. And this is a big thing I face when I'm out photographing. I actually have to use, I'm not sure if you've ever seen when you travel, there's a passport kind of secret hole that you actually put under your shirt against your skin. I actually have one of those, but I keep my camera batteries in there just for my body heat to keep them warm. Just so I can keep switching them out on freezing cold days, switch out the battery. Because even my camera batteries that were designed for this, they'll last 6 or 7 shots before I have to put them in that, get body temperature to heat them up, be able to use them again. So I'll just be rotating through batteries. And I think now we're on our 3rd camera battery here. I think this is our 2nd lavalier. We had to switch that out because the first one died. But it just shows you how rough and tough cold weather is. Not to mention, I mean, batteries is one thing. And oh, there you go. Sometime in the last 20 minutes, the G-Shock has pooped out. And I've had this problem with G-Shocks before, but if they don't have the touch of the skin, the warmth, they just don't quite hold on as well as mechanical watches. But I mean, right now, mechanical watches look to be keeping accurate time. We got another 10 minutes in here. Oh no, wait. Oh God, we have a long time in here. And then we'll do a quick test. But then what I want to do after the test is actually put the watches and leave them in here by themselves. So this is just creating motion to see how that works with the watches, if it does help them. But after this, we'll leave the watches in here just by themselves and see what kind of timekeeping they keep.
Okay, here we go. The first test results after an hour and a half of me in the cold box walking around with these watches. Now, obviously the G-Shock died, so that's out. But if you look here, it seems the Rolexes seem to be, yeah, look, they're dead accurate. So wow, that's very impressive. No change. And the Airboss here looks like it's about 10 seconds, 11 seconds slow after just being in the freezing temperature for about an hour and a half. Huh, that's very interesting. Okay, so now let's put these watches back in the icebox for another half hour and see if anything changes, now that they don't have the motion of me wearing the watches. Meanwhile, I'm gonna grab a beer at the bar. I love filming at breweries. Okay, so now after a half hour just sitting without motion in the cold box, it looks, yeah, still really impressive. The Rolexes are still, God, they're very accurate. They're still dead on accuracy. Maybe, no, they're dead on. And the Airboss here looks like it lost another 3, 4, maybe even 5 seconds. Yeah, so that really just goes to show you what kind of elements these watches, these mechanical watches are dealing with, that a good hardy watch, the Airboss, is losing this much time with these cold temperatures. Okay, before these watches warm up too much, I want to take these outside and get them in the sun just to really give them a shock and see how accurate they can stay with this just huge shock and temperature change over 100 degrees.
Okay, so now we've moved from the extreme cold to the extreme hot, and I'm really interested to see what kind of accuracy these mechanical watches keep. Hundreds of little parts being frozen cold, now going to, I mean, according to this thermometer now, in the sun here, it's reading about 120 degrees. And we just came from the freezer to out here. So this is gonna be extremely interesting to see what kind of accuracy these mechanical watches keep.
Want to breathe some new life into your home or office? Why not do it with some fine art nature photography? Through my exclusive fine art photography, I celebrate the beauty and grandeur of nature, but also the solitude and peace that I feel when I'm outdoors. Limited to only 18 prints per image, I use the best possible cameras when capturing that perfect moment in time, allowing for amazing image quality on any scale. Industry-leading printers with top quality materials to create these nature scenes as if you were there witnessing them for yourself. Check out my website for more information on these award-winning photographs. There you have it. That's truly remarkable. The Rolexes are still dead accurate. I mean, I'm kind of at a loss for words. I knew they would do well in the cold because I've witnessed that many times when I'm out in the field wearing the watches in the cold, but to have them keep this accurate a time from extreme temperature change, especially now look, the Airboss is now fast. So that's astonishing. That's results. That is pretty, I'm at a loss for words. That's insane.
So there you have it. I mean, that is just, that's pretty much incredible if you think about it. We're going from freezing temperatures to over 120 degrees in the sun over a 4-hour span, and the Rolexes keep pretty much dead accurate time. If you really look at the minutia, it might be a quarter to a half second fast, but that's incredible, especially compared to, you know, your quote unquote average watch, and even the quartz watch, the battery powered, which actually has come back alive now. So I mean, it's the G-Shock has its value, but it needs the heat of the skin. It just can't. I mean, because if you think about it, the battery out of this G-Shock is the same one out of my remote control at home for my stereo. So it's not so much the watch, it's the battery is not designed for that. But just the Rolexes, to go through that, hundreds of little parts moving in sync together, almost like a harmony, to keep perfect time being cold or hot. I mean, that is pretty incredible. And for those doubters of Rolex saying they're not true tool watches, I think this goes to prove how hardy and tough they really are with these kind of conditions, because you would never see these kind of conditions in nature. And this is just extreme pushing the limit, pushing the edge of these watches, and just pure harmony, how these watches are in sync and just all the pieces move together to keep extremely accurate time. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like what you saw, we're gonna do some more fun stuff like this, test out some other watches in the same kind of environment, same kind of idea approach, to see just how tough they are, because that's the biggest thing with tool watches and mechanical watches is the climate. And maybe on the side of that shock if you drop them, but really most of the time you're not going to drop your watch. So climate really is the huge extreme temperature change is a huge thing and tough thing for accurate watches to keep time. So thank you again. Cheers, much appreciated. And thank you again to Brewery X. Amazing beer, amazing facility, a great atmosphere here. I had a lot of fun. I mean, the beer is second to none. It's absolutely amazing. So thanks again to Brewery X. And I mean, it was a fun day. You can't really beat this. So thank you again. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Also, too, just a reminder, if you're in the Southern California area this summer, I will be exhibiting my work, some of the exclusive pieces that are almost sold out, at the Festival of Arts Pageant of the Masters in Laguna Beach, California this summer. I think it's from July 5th or 6th to August 31st. Click in the link below for the exact dates and time, and feel free to come by. I think tickets are like $10 to get into the art show. There's free music most nights, bar. It's a fun event. So come, I'd love to talk watches, talk art with you. It's a fun summer event. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. Cheers.